Hey, everybody, welcome back. Hope your day is going well. I did an extra live stream today, just kind of a spur of the moment thing. My friend, Mary Beth Minnis, is the producer and executive producer of a movie called Jump Shot, which just came out today. It was meant to be in the theaters, but obviously, right now, things can't really get into the theaters. So they are renting it today, tomorrow, and Saturday at jumpshotmovie.com. And you can rent it there for just under $8, which is about what it would cost you to go to the movies, just one person, but you can watch it at home. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend, check that out. Dr. Awesome joined me on that other little live cast. So I see people are starting to sound off, which is wonderful. Let's see who we got. The Sims are here. Hello, the Sims. A pleasure as always to have you here. I assume Dr. Awesome will be joining us again. It's her birthday this weekend. Did you know that? I just found out today. Today we're going to do chapter 12 of the Crescent Stone. I was looking at next week, and I think we're going to have to cut at least one chapter in half. It's quite long, as we're coming to the end of the first section of the Crescent Stone. Aaron Hawkins says, hello. Hello, Aaron. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Dr. Awesome says the movie looks excellent. Excited to watch. It really is great. It's about a guy named Kenny Saylor who invented the jump shot a long time ago, like before World War II. And it's the story of kind of the beginnings of professional basketball and how that came about. And about how even as a professional basketball player, there were other things that were more important to him as he was looking back on his life. So it's a great documentary. You'll definitely want to check it out. Deborah says, hey, Matt. Hi, Deborah. How are you? Glad to have you here. Let's see. We're going to jump in just a moment. It's a beautiful day here, a little windy. Our rabbit, poor thing, was out in the backyard, and we had a fenced area, and I put a sheet over it because she gets real nervous that, a hawk's going to fly in or something, or we have bald eagles all the time flying over. And today it was so windy that the sheet came partially off and collapsed in there. So she was hiding from it. She was very frightened. Zoe and Micah said they want to sing a song to you all today, but Zoe is sitting quietly, hiding on the couch now, so maybe not. They were practicing an Alexander Hamilton song earlier, saying that, oh, we're going to do this during your live cast. And I said, great. And then suddenly they weren't so interested. What's going on there? Aha. Hello. Hi, Patricia Lynn. So glad to have you. Deborah says, poor baby. I know. Poor baby. She's referring to the rabbit, I think, but poor baby to you also, Zoe. Yes. Oh, it is Zoe's birthday this weekend as well. It's true. What are we going to get her for her birthday? Oh, that's right. We already got her something. Don't worry. We're going to get her more things. It's her birthday, and everyone's trapped at home. You want to do something fun. Okay, friends, as always, feel free to leave your comments or questions, and we'll discuss them after we read. Today's story, here's the story so far. Madeline Oliver has a terminal illness, a disease where she can't breathe. She's offered by these magical creatures called the Elenil that if she comes for a year to the Sunlit Lands and works with them to destroy the evil skim, that they will heal her. Her chemistry partner, Jason Wu, ends up going with her to this place. He makes a deal that he gets chocolate pudding instead of being healed forever because he's a goofball. But they're separated right now because when they arrive, they're told they can't see other people until they have gone to see this storyteller who's going to explain to them why it's best to fight for the Elenil. On her way with her new roommate, Shula Bishara, a strange series of plant women befriend her and ask her to come and help them, which she eventually agrees to do. And they put something called a stone flower around her wrist, and it stings her, which should have paralyzed her, but didn't. She's not sure what's happening. And now she's on her way to go and to hear the story from the storyteller. And that's what our chapter's about today. Grace Reeves says, hey. Hello, Reeves. Good to internet see you. Okay, so here we go. We're going to jump in. Chapter 12. The Storyteller. O keeper of stories, from the deserted city, a cockry lament. Madeline and Shula found Hanali standing outside a bakery, talking to a squat, gray-skinned person in a dun brown robe. The smell of fresh bread and pastries hung in the air. Strange, Shula said. I've never seen Hanali talking to a Megrim before. Hanali's eyes rose lazily toward them, and with a charming smile, he spoke again to the Megrim, and it scurried off into the crowd. By the time Madeline and Shula reached him, Hanali had something that looked a great deal like an apple turnover, neatly balanced on his gloved fingers. Someone tried to kill Madeline, Shula said. Hanali raised an eyebrow at Shula. You? Rondello bowed. Your Excellency, it was, in fact, an Aluvorian. She gave the child a stone flower. Hanali sniffed. Are those poisonous to humans? He grinned at Madeline. I jest. Stone flowers are quite deadly to everyone. Trumpets blared deep in the city center. Rondello leapt onto his stag's back and begged to be pardoned, and Evernew bounded away through the crowd. That was a security alarm, Shula said. But it's full sun. The skim couldn't possibly have broken through the walls. Dusting the sugar from his gloved fingers, Hanali said yes, and knowing it was a drill, it was rather rude of Rondello to leap off like that. I should go check in with the guards too, Shula said. Nonsense, Hanali said, and miss the storyteller. My dear human child, don't prattle on so. Madeline crossed her arms. With some time to think as they walked, she had come to realize the seriousness of being offered a deadly flower. Seems to me there should be a little more concern about the attempted murder. Bah! You're safe with Shula, Hanali said. Did you die? No. Now come along. But did you die? No. Then come along. When Madeline didn't move, Hanali let out a great theatrical sigh. Do you have the flower? He asked. Shula handed it to him. It had wilted nearly completely and lost most of its crimson color. Hanali hemmed and hawed, then asked to see Madeline's arm. She showed him where it had stung her, and he studied it carefully. Do you see this tiny dot? He asked. She hadn't noticed it until he pointed it out, but there was a black spot, oblong, and half the size of a grain of rice. She licked her lips. I see it. That, my dear, is a seed. Stone flowers can inject poison in their youth or, before they die, a seed. He straightened and threw the flower to the ground, crushing it beneath the heel of his boot. Typically, they inject it into a rotting log, but I suppose this one became confused. Madeline rubbed at the spot where the seed was. What will happen to me? Hanali grimaced. Are you a rotting log? No, she said, annoyed. Then I suppose nothing. Do let me know if a flower bursts from your skin. Now, may we get to the business at hand? Madeline frowned. He didn't seem to be taking the whole thing seriously. Then again, maybe that was a good sign. Fine, she said. The Elenil practically danced up a clay stairway that climbed the side of a 2-story house. There were no railings or handholds, just simple stairs. At the top, he bent low and entered a dark room. The woman was hard to see in the dim light. She sat against the wall, which was covered in ivy. The ivy had snaked across her, too, so only her face could be seen. The lines on her face branched and split like climbing vines, and her hair was tangled in the leaves. She looked almost like one of the Aluvorians, what with all the ivy, but her skin wasn't green. Madeline couldn't tell if she was human or something else. I brought your fee, Hanali said, and placed a small pewter spoon in front of the woman. A vine curled around it and lifted it to the woman's eyes. She nodded, and the spoon disappeared into the ivy. What happened to you? Madeline asked. The woman's dark eyes rested on her for a moment. I'll not tell you that. Without a spoon, or a pair of bone dice, or a rusted knife from a knight's traveling chest. The recitation of junk reminded Madeline of the garden lady. Bending closer, she tried to see the woman's eyes. The ivy shifted and the leaves shuddered. The woman looked away. Madeline tried to put her hand into the ivy to see if the wall behind it was solid, but the ivy curled from her touch, revealing the wall. Standing against the door jamb, Hanali said, "Tell them of the Sunlit Lands." The leaves spun and waved as if in a gentle breeze. Which story would you have, Lord Hanali? Why, the story of its founding, and the seven peoples, the story of the beginning, as the Elenil have told it. Of course. The storyteller nodded curtly. She glanced at Madeline and said almost under her breath, Listen well. The Elenil share this story without cost, so that you may know how the world is meant to be. Then she began the story. It was a story about a great magician who the Elenil called the Majestic One, who saw the rebellious nature of all the people of the land and decided he would, quote, repair the world. But most of the people refused to listen to him and continued on in their various violent ways. The first people to agree to help the magician were named Ella and Nala, who would become the mother and father of the Elenil race. The Majestic One set out to tame the whole world, with Ella and Nala and their children at his side, and in time, all the people were brought under his rule. Much of the story was actually a long poem that Madeline had a hard time following with all the unfamiliar names. It was about the rewards and blessings that the magician gave to the different people after the war had ended. He made the Elenil the guardians of the world, and according to the story, he himself founded the Court of Farseeing and put the Elenil in charge of the entire Sunlit Lands. The wizard sent all the other people to different lands, giving them their places in the world. The Aluvorians made their home among the trees in the Southlands. Madeline shuddered. She wouldn't be taking any unfamiliar flowers in the future. She rubbed the small dark mark on her arm, but she couldn't see it as clearly now. Had it already faded? Maybe it would come out on its own like a splinter. There was a parade of unfamiliar names and people. The Cockry, who lived in the desert. The Megrim, who lived in the caves beneath the world. The Janine. Shark people, Shula whispered. We rarely see them this far from the sea. And the Skim, who were the last people to surrender and so were cursed to eternal darkness. The Majestic One even cursed their appearance, making them frightening monsters. The Elenil, of course, were rewarded for their loyalty and were made the guardians and caretakers of the Sunlit Lands. There was even a stanza about human beings, a detail Madeline found surprising. She listened closely to it, interested in how the Elenil saw humans. According to the Leaf Woman, the Majestic One said this to the humans. Humans, ye shall live upon another earth, a people of science and dust, bereft of magic, short-lived and passionate. There shall still be beauty and wonder among you. In great need may ye return to the Sunlit Lands, for ye are our cousins and neighbors. Madeline listened, fascinated. In the Elenil legends of that long ago time, humans were considered just another magical race of beings, but magic and apparently long life had been taken from them, and they were sent to Earth. Interesting. They could only come to the Sunlit Lands in, quote, great need. The story wrapped up with a poem about the rightful place for each type of person to live. Humans on Earth, Janine in the sea, Cockry in the desert, and so on. The woman shuddered when the story was done, and the leaves around her trembled. Her eyes closed for a long moment, and when she opened them, she said, Now my story is done, the truth unspooled. Listen well, or be a fool. You didn't tell her about the cherubim, Shula said. They were not people made at that time, not then. Or the Southern Court, Hanali said. What of them? Monsters and animals, the storyteller said. Nor did I mention the Pasticians, for they are human. Who is the teller of tales here? Do I tell you how to fight a war, Shula Bishara? Do I tell Hanali, son of Vivi, how to choose fine clothing? The woman in the ivy shuddered again, and long tendrils of plant life cascaded over her face. It cleared again in a moment. Wet streaks ran down her face. Without thinking, Madeline stepped closer. The ivy recoiled, making a path for her. Madeline bent down and kissed the storyteller's cheek. Thank you for the story. The look in the storyteller's eyes was one of wonder and dismay. She stared at Madeline for the longest time. It's you, she said, after all these years. Madeline didn't know what to say. She whispered, You're not trapped, are you? In the ivy? Not in the way you think, the storyteller said. No more than you. Hanali pulled Madeline back and knelt in front of the storyteller, studying her carefully. What did you see, old woman? I'm younger than you, Elenil. Hanali's mouth snapped shut. The muscles in his face flexed. Show some respect, storyteller. What did you see? A long sigh came from the woman, like air escaping a balloon. Her blade shall bring justice at long last to the skim. Hanali did not move for a long time. He only stared at the woman, unblinking. He mumbled almost to himself, I know there's more to it than that. The Aluvorians have taken an interest in her as well. Why would your people show interest in her? The woman said nothing at first, but when Hanali continued to glare at her, she finally said, reluctantly, There is trouble in Aluvoria. She may be a seed of hope, but I fear it is still a long way off, Hanali. Another time, another tale. He studied Madeline. Then to Shula he said, At dusk, take Madeline to the battlements to see the skim and watch the battle. It's only her first full day, and she's not ready to... Hanali's eyes narrowed, and Shula stopped speaking. She need not fight, but she will watch. Shula bent her head. Of course, Excellency. Madeline found herself surprised by Hanali. He was kind and hospitable one moment and dismissive the next. He seemed foppish and ridiculous most of the time, but he had these moments of decisive command, and no one dared cross him then, not Shula and not the storyteller. He was a strange person. Hanali guided them outside, bowed deeply, and begged their leave. He wandered off into the crowd. Shula watched him go, a concerned look on her face. What's wrong? Madeline touched Shula's arm. Shula looked up, startled. Hanali is not usually so polite to humans, asking permission to leave us and bowing to us. It's very strange. He must think there's something to these prophecies. They strolled along the street, arm in arm. There were so many wonderful things to see here. Why did it seem like Hanali didn't know the story the Ivy woman was telling? And why were the details different than what you both expected? Shula shrugged. Storytellers tell their stories differently, depending on the time of day, the audience, and their whim. That's why she asked if Hanali wanted the story as the Elenil tell it. She likely knows the same story from different people, different tribes, different times. I've heard that story 5 or 6 times, and each time with different nuances. That was interesting. Madeline wondered about that while they walked. So the woman in the ivy may very well have been tailoring that story just for her. She wanted to think about that more. She glanced at her arm. She couldn't see the seed at all now. She didn't want to think about that anymore. She was alive. She could breathe. She had been stung by a deadly flower, and it hadn't bothered her a bit. She wanted to do something fun, to celebrate, to run and dance. She asked Shula if they could walk past the singing fountain she had seen from the coach, and Shula, delighted, agreed. Don't worry about these prophecies, Shula said. The Elenil love prophecies. They use them constantly. Hanali uses them to learn what people will wear to parties so he can make sure his outfit is unique. You're kidding. They laughed. The Elenil have a low tolerance for not knowing or understanding things. Shula hesitated. They go to extremes to learn about the future. They're plotters and planners. They hold prophecies over each other's heads to get people to behave the way they want. They'll lie about a prophecy if they think it gives them an advantage. So the thing about me bringing justice to the skim with my sword, Shula patted her hand, could have been invented by Hanali to advance his social standing among the other Elenil. Madeline felt a mix of relief and disappointment wash over her. So much had changed in the last 24 hours. She was still getting used to the fact that she could breathe. She didn't want to be some Elenil hero. At the same time, there was something exciting about being someone special, someone with a fate that would change the world. Why would the storyteller say the same thing then? Shula didn't respond, a troubled look crossing her face. At the fountain, they listened to the music as the water leapt from bowl to bowl. Shula explained how the bowls represented the Sunlit Lands cosmology, a series of crystal spheres that turned like clockwork over the world. Madeline had a vague memory of learning something like it in an advanced English class when they were reading Shakespeare. It was another reminder that they were not on Earth. The people, the clothing, the architecture, even the astronomy, all looked different. On the way home, Shula bought her a snack using a few wooden coins she fished from her pocket. The fruit had a hard, purplish exterior, which the merchant, a surly Megrim, cut deftly in two with a curved knife. She and Shula each took half, and the merchant gave them each their own wooden spoon, like a tiny paddle. The soft white interior of the fruit was both sweet and tangy and left her tongue tingling with pleasure. When they finished, Shula took the bowl of the fruit and threw it straight into the air. A large green bird sailed out of nowhere, snatched the peel from the sky, and disappeared, fighting off two smaller birds. Madeline threw hers into the air, and another bird snatched it. By the time they were nearly home, most of the shops along the street were closing, with merchants pulling in their wares and folding up their canopies. The market is closing for a time of rest before nightfall. We should rest also, Shula said. Tonight you'll watch from the city wall. You won't get much sleep before tomorrow. Madeline's heart began to pound. The thought of being in a battle, of being in a fight at all, made her nervous. Her palms began to sweat. Shula squeezed Madeline's shoulder. Do not fear. You made an agreement to serve the Elenil, but there's no guarantee they'll assign you to fight. They may put you on guard duty or have you serve food in the Archon's palace. You agreed to serve them, not necessarily to fight. But the prophecy Hanali keeps mentioning, it sure sounds like fighting. Shula sighed. 6 months ago, Hanali was invited to a party for someone in the Elenil elite. It was a big deal. He went to 16 prophets, 4 soothsayers, and 3 party planners. He chose his outfit and bought new gloves and obsessed about this party for more than 2 months. One of the prophets told him I would ruin the party. I would ruin the party. I was supposed to go as his bodyguard. The Elenil like ridiculous shows of luxury, and that was one of his. But he was so terrified that he switched me out for someone else. The party came, and he attended, and he even spoke to some of the most influential Elenil, the magistrates. The whole city was talking about it the next day, and Hanali's name came up more than once in the gossip chains. So you didn't ruin it? No, Shula said, but the next time I saw him, he cornered me and said, You ruined the party. I spent the entire night worried about how you were going to ruin it, so I didn't enjoy it for a moment. Madeline laughed. It was definitely getting darker now, but there was still plenty of light to see. They had walked past Mrs. Raymond's house and were now at the base of the city wall. So just because my sword will bring justice, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm fighting a war. Shula shook her head. In the dim light, the scar on her face stood out more clearly. Maybe you drop a sword on someone's toe, and they get so angry they destroy the skim once and for all. Or maybe you work in the kitchens and make a sword cake that gives all the skim a stomachache at the signing of a peace treaty, or... Shula held up a finger. And this is the most likely one of all. Hanali is trying to get some attention and has made up a prophecy. The whole city would be looking for you if the prophets pronounced you as some sort of chosen one. Madeline thanked Shula, then gave her a hug. Madeline's muscles unknotted and her fists unclenched. She took a deep breath, something she would never get tired of doing. I've been worried, she said, that I would come all the way here to get away from the thing that was killing me back home, and that I would get killed by the skim instead. She felt weird not telling Shula about her deal with Hanali, but Mrs. Raymond had seemed to feel so strongly about it. Maybe she would wait a few days until she better understood how everything worked. But she already knew she could trust Shula. She felt it to the core of her being. The skim can't kill you if you kill them first, Shula said. Climb to the top of this stairway and tell them your name. I have to get ready to fight, but it's time for you to see the skim. The end of chapter 12. Okay, there we go. We'll pick up with chapter 13 on Monday because tomorrow, as you know, we are going to have Henry Lien with us. It's going to be amazing. He is going to do an original song, so get ready. Henry, as I've mentioned several times already, is the author of Pea Sprout Chen, Future Legend of Skate and Sword. You can see he has a little bird on his shoulder there. He has two birds actually at home. He is a delightful person, full of energy and joy, and you are going to love him. So that should be a lot of fun. Also, just a reminder that if you're looking for orders to order the Crescent Stone, Tyndale.com is still taking orders and sending books right now. They still have a few people working at the warehouse to make sure you're able to get your books. Other places are not able to ship out books as quickly just because they're needing to ship other things as well. But Tyndale feels really strongly in their mission to keep providing quality, family-friendly entertainment for everybody. You can also get the audio book narrated by Natasha Sudek, my friend, at oasisaudio.com. Let's see. Oh, hey, Jessica is here. She says she's a little late. No problem. Glad you're here. Deborah says, happy birthday, Zoe. Happy birthday. She says, thank you.
My birthday.
She's Zoe hates Hanali. She said for her birthday, she would like Hanali to disappear. Hey, Kirk says, super awesome as always. Some people like Hanali, okay? Some people, it's their favorite character. He is not the worst. Oh, no. We're going to have you on the show to have a fight. As always, my friends, if you would take a moment to like this post, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube, that would be a great favor to me. Your comments are always welcome, and I love seeing them. And if you would like to subscribe, you can do that at youtube.com/Matt Michelatis Books or on Facebook at facebook.com/Michelatis Books. Thanks, my friends. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Please bring your friends to meet Henry tomorrow. I think it'll be fun. Kirk says, not me. He agrees that Hanali is the worst. Zoe is very happy, Kirk. You have made her day. She's celebrating. She's grinning. She even put her phone down. It's amazing. All right, my friends, be well, stay healthy. Don't touch each other. Wash your hands. And I'll talk to you tomorrow when we're together with Henry Lien. Bye. Oh, end broadcast. See you tomorrow.